Hi, this is Sarah from Sessa Reads, and today I will be reviewing The Bazaar of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. Stephen King is one of my favorite writers, and I really love his short stories. If you're looking for a good place to start with Stephen King, I highly recommend checking out his short story collections, because they are shorter pieces of work, and sometimes they are almost the size of a full-length novel. With some novellas that he writes are very long, so you can get a full grasp of whether or not you like his range of writing, because Stephen King is a very prolific writer. So he writes in a lot of different formats. He writes everything from horror to sci-fi to psychological to even poetry. There were a few poems in here which I was very surprised about, because I did not know that Stephen King wrote poetry. This personally is my all-time favorite Stephen King cover. I mean, look at how beautiful this is. The formatting of this novel is really cool because it is told as if Stephen King is at a bazaar, and that he is trying to, sell you each story. So like, he starts with an introduction, and then it goes on to the first. So like right before the short story, it'll have like a small, like maybe 1 to 2 page section about where he got the inspiration for the story and how the story fits for him. So there are a lot of short stories in this collection, so let's see if I can get through them without rambling on too much. The first story in this collection is Mile 81. I give this one 4.5 stars because it's super cool. It's about a car that loves to eat people and is an alien from outer space. I'm just saying, like, that's super cool. And the second story is Premium Harmony. I gave this one 2 stars. This one didn't really jive with me. It's about a couple who argues all the time, and their day eventually meets a tragic end. And, I didn't really feel like it was King. Like, it didn't have his usual writing style. And if I remember correctly, he said that he was inspired to write this more from the tone of another writer. It's just it didn't jive with me. The next story is Batman and Robin Hood get in an altercation. I give this one 3.5 stars. It's a story about a man and his father with Alzheimer's, and they get into a traffic altercation. Pretty funny stuff. The next one is The Dune. I give this one 5 stars. I'm a huge fan of creepy stories that have people being aware of the people around them, like who and when they're gonna die. So like, this Dune can tell people which people or which names of people will die that they will become aware of. So like, they'll know the name of a person who they may not even know personally, but they'll see their name in a newspaper and it'll be that same name that was on the Dune. So it's super cool. I really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend that one. Then the next story is Bad Little Kid. Also gave this one 5 stars. I really like this one. It's really dark, really sick, really twisted, and the question is whether or not this kid is a demon, and you never get the answer, and I really like that. The next one is A Death. This one is really good. There may be slight spoilers with me describing this, but I really believed that the character in this short story was innocent. And by the end, when it's revealed that he isn't, I went back, and there's this one small line that literally, it kind of just gives it all away that, like, this man isn't innocent, or as innocent as he claims to be. Freaking brilliant. Love King. So fabulous. I love him. Like, I love Stephen King. Like, the next one is The Bone Church. I gave this one 2 stars. I am not a fan of Indiana Jones type storylines. Like, expedition type things, let me go find this dead bone, let me go find this mummy. Not for me. Don't like it. It's not my cup of tea. The next one is Morality. I'm a huge morality fan. Like, any type of short story or story that talks about morality, I'm all there for it. I gave this one 4.25 stars. I really liked it because it really focused on how morality can be a domino effect from one sin to another. Really enjoyable. The next one is The Afterlife, and I give this one 4 stars. I personally believe in heaven, and I also believe in hell, as well as purgatory, but that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy reading other people's interpretations of what the afterlife could be like, and I really enjoyed this one. The next one is It's like You Are. I gave this one 5 stars. I think that this one's my favorite in the collection. It's super cool. It's actually like almost 120 something pages. Really good. It follows this guy who buys a Kindle, and the Kindle is able to give him works of literature that were never produced. So like he finds stories by Ernest Hemingway that have never been published. It's kind of like an alternate universe, and then eventually he ends up being told who will die, and he has a connection to somebody who is predicted to die. Super cool. Really enjoyed it. Really recommend it. The next one is Herman Walk is Still Alive. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this one because it's really dark, and it takes a look at to what it's like for a person to kind of choose one choice that could, you know, decimate everyone around them. Like, it's really, really sad, really dark, really tragic what happens in the end. The next one is Under the Weather. I gave this one 4.25 stars. I originally read this one in Full Dark No Stars as like an added-in collection because I bought a later produced copy, and I personally really enjoyed Under the Weather. I think it's really great. It has a lot of good diction in it that hints to what is going on, and I enjoy it. The next one is Blockade Billy. I give this one 3.5 stars. I'm not a fan of baseball, but Stephen King is, and he makes it really fascinating and really fun to read about. It has a really good plot twist, and I liked it. The next one is Mr. Yummy. This one is, I give this one 3 stars. I really like the incorporation of AIDS as well as death, and how death can fit your Mr. Yummy or Mrs. Yummy or whatever. Really interesting. I didn't like where the story progressed to, but I did enjoy it. The next one is Tommy. This one I give 3.25 stars. Like I said, Stephen King writes poetry. I personally am not a fan of his poetry, but I did like Tommy because he had a connection to a boy named Tommy, and he was friends with him. So I really felt that connection, and it made this poem enjoyable. The next one is The Little Green Angry God. I give this one 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed the concept of pain being controlled by an angry little god. Like, it's super cool, really interesting, and it's not something that you would ever really see in a story. I felt like it could have been an episode of Supernatural, so maybe, you know, Supernatural should talk to Stephen King. Then we have Cookie Jar. I gave this one 5 stars. It's a fantasy story that parallels the horrific wars of our world. I really enjoyed how thought-provoking this was. It was so good, and it was really emotional. I really recommend it. The next one is The Bus in Another World. I gave this one 2.25 stars. It's a weird story, and I have no clue how I feel about it even to this day, and I read it back in January. It's just really weird. I don't really like it that much. The next one is Obits, which I gave 4.5 stars. This one is a lot like Death Note in the fact that this man is able to write obituaries for people that come true. And it's really cool because, like, it reminded me of BuzzFeed, like, in the way that their writing offices are. So I don't know, I just thought it was fun. The next short story is Drunken Fireworks. I gave this one 2 stars. It's about a kind of family feud from this rich family and this really poor podunk family, and they like set off fireworks, and then like it gets really violent, like to the fact where like they're getting Chinese fireworks and trying to kill each other. I didn't really like it because it was really, really long, so like I'm not a fan of like long stories that just kind of drag, and I felt like this one dragged. The next one is The Summer Thunder. I give this one 5 stars. This one made me cry because it is a apocalyptic story. Well, post-apocalyptic story. The apocalypse has already happened. So it's about this man, and he's just living with his dog, and he knows his dog is about to die. He knows he's about to die. His one friend's about to die. It's really beautiful, and I don't know. My notes say, what is around the bend? A cliff or a better future full of miracles? And that's how the story ends. I don't feel like that's really a spoiler because it just kind of ended on a like note of what's going on, but I don't know. I really like that. I love it, and I love Stephen King. I highly recommend this collection because I feel like as a reader you can get a lot out of it. There's so many different stories. Overall, I'll give this collection 4 stars, and I think that even if you're not a fan of horror, there's some things in here that you may come to love, and Stephen King writes really amazing short stories. I gave a lot of 5 stars in this collection, and I'm really happy with it. And so far, this is my favorite collection. So let me know down below if you're interested in reading The Bazaar of Bad Dreams, or if you've read any Stephen King short stories, and I'll see you down below in the comments. Bye!